Pablo Escobar talks to his son. 5 minutes and 47 seconds of a father's love. 5 minutes and 47 seconds that will cost him everything. Because somewhere in a concrete bunker across the city, machines are listening, calculating, triangulating. The most wanted man in the world has just signed his own death warrant with a phone call.
Welcome to Info TV. Imagine a man who, in his lifetime, became the 7th richest person in the world, whose empire smuggled 15 tons of cocaine a day, and whose power was so absolute he waged a bloody 7-year war against his own country. That man was Pablo Emilio Escobar Gaviria, the king of cocaine. His life is a paradox of unimaginable wealth and brutal violence, a Robin Hood figure for the poor, and a demonic killer for the elite. Over the next 16 minutes, we are going to break down every detail of that paradox. His unlikely rise from poverty, the sheer absurdity of his $30 billion fortune, his war for political power, and the specific dramatic moments that led to his final bloody end on a Medellin rooftop. This is the fully detailed story of Pablo Escobar. Part 1. The humble delinquent early life. Pablo Escobar was born in 1949 in Rio Negro, Colombia. His origins were modest. His father was a farmer, his mother a schoolteacher. He dropped out of the University of Antioquia. Unlike his sophisticated rivals, Escobar began his criminal career on the streets of Medellin, focusing on low-level hustle, from petty crime to cocaine. His first crimes were not glamorous, allegedly selling fake diplomas, stealing cars, and even stealing tombstones to sandblast and resell. By the early 1970s, he had moved on to kidnapping and theft for ransom, notably the kidnapping and murder of industrialist Diego Echevarria. This is where he made his first significant money and gained a reputation for ruthlessness. But a far more lucrative opportunity was emerging: cocaine. Geographically, Colombia was perfectly positioned between the coca-growing regions of Peru and Bolivia and the massive emerging market of the United States. Escobar saw the potential. He was part of the first wave of smugglers, establishing rudimentary routes into the U.S., often using small planes and a network of contacts. His first major seizure was in 1976 when he was caught with 39 kilograms of cocaine, an incident he quickly resolved by bribing the judge and later having the arresting officers assassinated. The blueprint for his future empire was set. Part 2. Rise of the Medellin cartel, formalizing the empire. By the mid-1970s, Escobar, along with the Ochoa brothers and Carlos later, formalized their operations, creating the infamous Medellin cartel. They didn't just smuggle, they industrialized the process. They owned jungle processing labs, fleets of planes and boats, and a key transshipment point on the Bahamian island of Norman's Cay. The American Pipeline. At its peak in the 1980s, the cartel was reportedly shipping an estimated 70 to 80 tons of cocaine into the United States every month. That's enough to corner an estimated 80% of the global cocaine market. The demand in the U.S., particularly Miami, was exponential, and the Medellin cartel had an effective, high-volume supply chain. Plata o plomo, silver or lead. Escobar's control over Colombian society was absolute, governed by his infamous catchphrase, plata o plomo, silver or lead. This was not a subtle threat. You either accepted his massive bribe, silver, or you faced assassination, lead. This system of pervasive corruption and terror crippled the police, the judiciary, and the government itself. Countless judges, journalists, politicians, and thousands of police officers were murdered for refusing to look the other way. Part 3. The wealth and empire. The staggering fortune. How rich was Pablo Escobar? At the height of his power, he was earning an estimated $420 million a week, placing his estimated net worth at around $30 billion, making him one of the wealthiest criminals in history. Forbes magazine listed him as an international billionaire for 7 consecutive years, from 1987 to 1993. Absurdities of cash. His problem wasn't making money, it was storing and laundering it. The cash simply piled up faster than they could process it. His brother and former accountant, Roberto Escobar, claimed they stored billions of dollars in musty warehouses, walls of homes, and hidden compartments. The decay was astonishing. They allegedly wrote off 10%, or over $2 billion, annually due to rats eating the currency or water damage. Furthermore, the cartel reportedly spent a staggering $2,500 every month just on rubber bands to wrap the stacks of banknotes.
Hacienda Nápoles and Robin Hood Escobar's wealth was most visibly displayed at his 7,000-acre luxury estate, Hacienda Nápoles. It was an absurd kingdom, complete with a private zoo filled with exotic animals like hippos, elephants, and giraffes, an airstrip and a classic car collection, artificial lakes, a bull ring, and a private soccer field. Simultaneously, he cultivated a Robin Hood image among Medellin's poor. He funded housing projects, built soccer fields, and gave cash directly to residents in the slums. This genuine, if calculated, philanthropy earned him a fierce loyalty from a segment of the population, providing him with a vital shield and an army of lookouts against the authorities. Part 4. Politics and War. Political ambition and extradition. In 1982, Escobar was elected as an alternate member of the Colombian Congress. His political ambition was simple: to gain immunity and prevent extradition to the United States, where he knew he would face genuine justice. The U.S. had begun pressuring Colombia for an extradition treaty. His political career was cut short in 1984 when Justice Minister Rodrigo Lara Bonilla publicly exposed his criminal activities. This set the stage for one of the darkest periods in Colombian history. Narco-terrorism begins. The cartel's response to the extradition threat was brutal, escalating from targeted assassinations to full-blown terrorism. Justice Minister Lara Bonilla is assassinated on Escobar's orders. The cartel allegedly funded and coordinated the M19 guerrilla siege of the Palace of Justice in Bogotá, a horrific event that left nearly 100 dead, including half of the Supreme Court magistrates, the very judges who would rule on extradition. The assassination of presidential candidate Luis Carlos Galán, a staunch opponent of the cartels, shocked the nation. Escobar orders the bombing of Avianca, Flight 203, believing a police informant was on board. 107 innocent people died. The offer and the consequence. Amid the bloodshed, Escobar reportedly offered to pay off Colombia's $10 billion national debt in exchange for a constitutional ban on extradition. The government refused, but the constant threat eventually forced a compromise. In 1991, as a new Colombian constitution was passed banning extradition, Escobar struck a deal. He would surrender, but only to a prison of his own design. Part V. La Catedral and the Hunt. The prison, La Catedral. The prison, Escobar built and named La Catedral, the cathedral, was a luxurious fortress that was, in reality, a 5-star resort, and his new cartel headquarters. It included a waterfall, a bar, a giant dollhouse for his daughter, a full-sized soccer pitch, a sauna, and an office with phones, fax machines, and computers. He hosted lavish parties, ran his criminal operations, and even ordered the murder of rivals from within the prison. The escape and the manhunt in July 1992, after Escobar brutally tortured and killed 2 top cartel lieutenants inside La Catedral, the Colombian government decided to transfer him to a standard prison. Before they could move him, Escobar and his men simply walked out, disappearing into the surrounding mountains. The escape led to the largest, most intense manhunt in world history, led by the Colombian elite police unit, the Search Block, with intelligence and equipment support from the U.S. DEA and Delta Force. Critically, a new vigilante group emerged, Los Pepes, an acronym for People Persecuted by Pablo Escobar, made up of victims, rival cartels, primarily Cali, and corrupt elements of the military, Los Pepes began systematically killing anyone connected to Escobar, forcing his inner circle to crumble and turn on him. He was now running out of money, allies, and places to hide.
Part 6, The Final Moments. The fatal mistake. On December 1st, 1993, Escobar celebrated his 44th birthday in a simple middle-class hideout in the Los Olivos neighborhood of Medellin. Despite the constant danger, he made a fatal mistake. Too many long, unencrypted phone calls to his family. The search block, which had been monitoring his family's communications with sophisticated U.S. equipment, finally triangulated his location. The death on the rooftop. On the morning of December the 2nd, 1993, the search block surrounded the house. They stormed the building, and a chaotic, desperate shootout began. Escobar and his lone bodyguard, Alvaro de Jesus Agudelo, known as El Limon, fled through a second-story window onto a terracotta rooftop. A brief chase and gun battle ensued. El Limon was killed first. Moments later, Pablo Escobar, the man who had terrified a nation for 2 decades, was shot 3 times, in the leg, the torso, and fatally through his right ear. Conclusion and legacy. The official version states he was killed by the search block. However, the shot behind the ear led to long-standing speculation, including from his own family and his brother, that Escobar, who had always vowed he would rather have a grave in Colombia than a jail cell in the U.S., had taken his own life with his sidearm. Pablo Escobar's death at 44 marked the collapse of the Medellin cartel and the end of one of the bloodiest chapters in Colombian history. His life remains a chilling lesson in power, greed, and the devastating cost of an empire built on cocaine and terror. This has been another deep dive from Info TV. If you want more stories like this, make sure to like and subscribe, and let us know in the comments. What other infamous figure should we cover next?